Hi, I'm Dr. Allison Cole, sleep medicine specialist and bona fide chronic insomniac. Welcome to the Sleep is My Waking Passion podcast. Remember, knowledge is empowerment, and if applied correctly, it can help you biohack your way to a better night of sleep, just like I did. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sleep is My Waking Passion podcast. You know who I am. I am your host, Dr. Allison Cole, and I am joined today by veterinarian friend of mine, Dr. Sarah McCormack Natanson. She married a really close friend of mine from medical school, and I've known Sarah for a bazillion years, back in the day when I was a med student and you were a vet student, and we were like going at it. So she graduated from Tufts. I didn't know it was Tufts Cummings University of Veterinary Medicine, but apparently that's the full name. Yeah, back in the day in 2009, which just goes to show we've been around the block or two.
I'm not, however, a bazillion years old. Thank you very much.
So she completed a year of internship at the New England Animal Medical Center, and she began her career in Boston. That's where both of us were. You initially worked at a cat-only clinic, and then a variety of busy companion animal, avian, and exotic animal practices. So you've had a lot of experience across a lot of different animals. And then you moved to Portland, and you work locally with mixed small animal practice. Then you joined the VCA Rock Creek in 2023. By the way, you're looking at their new medical director. That's right. So she enjoys all aspects of general practice, especially fear-free approach, internal medicine, surgery, dentistry, and exotic animal practice. She is originally from England, so this is going to be a real treat. You get to hear her
Sort of English accent.
Your luscious English accent. But she's lived a very nomadic lifestyle. So she's lived in California, Indonesia twice, England, Texas, Connecticut, and then finally Boston. So her husband, my friend Andrew, is a neurologist in Portland, and she's got two very spirited kids. We were just commiserating on how mine tend to not want to beat the crap out of each other, and yours sometimes do fight. So she has James, 8, and Zoe, 6. And she also has a slew of rescue pets. So she has an anxiety-ridden rescue mutt named Bree. God bless you. A bearded dragon named Bob, 2 leopard geckos, Snap and Twilight, a crested gecko named Sass, and 3 guinea pigs named S'mores, Kettle, and Mooney. In her spare time, she enjoys arts and crafts, and she made me a beautiful necklace that to this day I still have.
Oh.
And she loves exploring, reading, gardening, indoor plants, playing with her kids, board games, traveling, improv, comedy, and by the way, she happens to be a ballroom dancer. Girl, what? And then you're telling me that you're like, hey, how do I manage it all? I don't know, because you've got a lot more hobbies than I do. I will tell you that. I'm impressed.
I have a lot of interests. I can't quite pick one thing, so I just dabble in everything.
But you've done a little bit more than dabbling with the dancing. I mean, you've done some ballroom dancing competitions.
That's true. I mean, I did it for quite a long time. It's so fun to coordinate music and movement. It is just absolutely joyful. It's so freeing to move your body, and it's just a lot of fun. And I never really took the competition part of it seriously. It's mostly just for me and building my confidence and getting moving.
And you know what I love about that is if you're not like, quote, a standard body type, or you don't feel like you've got that exotic look of a dancer, it's like none of that matters. You're moving your body, you're feeling good. Like you said, you're developing confidence, and you're doing something really healthy for yourself because you're getting cardiovascular work, but you're getting, muscular resistance work in there too. Dancing's hard. Dancing's really hard.
It is, and it really takes a lot of concentration and focus. You learn steps, you learn coordination, so there's a lot of elements to it, and I love music. I love listening to music, and it's been a really fun hobby, and I've been able to teach a few tips and tricks to my kids as well, so they've got some moves.
Yeah, and I love your outfits, and to see you being someone who wouldn't normally wear one of those like zhuzhy outfits, and to see these videos of you out there, I'm like, damn, girl, You
I know.
go.
I like to play an extrovert on TV.
I love it. And thank you so much for joining me on the show. I specifically asked Dr. Sarah to come on the show today because of her veterinarian expertise and my deep trust of her deep knowledge. Tufts is an amazing veterinary school, and I know that she got amazing training. The bottom line is that a lot of us have pets. For me, I got a puppy, so I'm kind of emphasizing the puppies. And so many of us kind of don't think about what the potential downstream effects are going to be on our sleep during that period. So I was like, why not talk about that? Because I feel like what I really learned was, all right, from what I've been told, puppies are going to pee a bunch of times at night. They're, they may need to take a lot of breaks. They may be really needy. I read things about crate training and things. And I know that some people just love to have their animals in the bed. And that's one of the key sleep disruptors, parenthesis, that I will tell you that I've had many, a person tell me about. So I figured that I would ask you a bunch of questions to level set what would be a realistic expectation for bringing a puppy home. Because there's going to be some degree of sleep disruption that occurs that, believe me, after you've had a couple kids like Sarah and I have, you're really sensitive to having your sleep disrupted, especially if you have to take call and then you're trying to get back to sleep. Like, I'm very protective of my sleep, which is why I have this show. And so, Sarah, what I was going to start with maybe is, what's a realistic expectation for what, a sleep schedule would be for puppies? And does that, I'm going to assume it changes over their lifespan. Maybe even start with just how much sleep do puppies need? Maybe we can go there and then go to their sleep schedule.
So you're definitely correct. It does depend on their age, and it does adjust over time. So initially, when they're really young, they probably need 11 to 12 hours per day. Now, there are fluctuations throughout their growth period, especially as they go through intense learning and growing stages. They might need a little bit less, they might need a little bit more. And a big part of having a puppy, getting a dog, is accepting that you will have some fluctuations in the process, and you will lose some sleep. But it's not bad news. For in general, they need about 2 hours between urinations and defecations for every 2 months of age. So if they're 2 months old, you should plan to take them out about every 2 to 3 hours during the day. They can hold it longer at nighttime. I would plan to set an alarm at least twice during the evening. I would plan to stay up late and bring them out just before you plan to turn in. Late, like 11 p.m. And I would plan to have to wake up early, probably 4 or 5-ish, and bring them outside. I know. It's part of having a puppy. It's just part of the process. It's not terribly fun to lose your sleep, but if you can commit to that, then you will be able to accommodate that circadian rhythm. You'll be able to accommodate potty training along with that, and you will end up having a really close relationship with your puppy, and it's a recipe for success. You want to give them that chance to be able to behave properly and be able to be a good dog, and give them the tools to be able to do so. So taking them out during the day is different from taking them out in the middle of the night. We really want to promote a sense of calmness at nighttime. We don't want to do anything super exciting. We're not going to rile them up. We're not going to make a lot of noise. We're not going to be super exciting. In fact, we're going to be pretty dull, which works out because we're tired. So we're going to take them out to go potty. There are exceptions with that. We do have to think about their vaccine status, and we do have to think about what that means for you and where you live. We'll talk a little bit more about that because that is important. But if you are finding a place to take them outside, for example, your backyard, take them out, give them the chance to do their business, watch them closely, and if they do, lots of positive reinforcement. That could be verbal, that could be a clicker. We can talk a little about clicker training. A clicker is a high-pitched noise that we can use to mark the behavior that we want to see. And we quickly follow that with a positive reinforcer, which is initially a treat, but soon you'll say, click, good potty, or good poop, or good pee, or whatever ridiculous thing you want to say, and then give them a treat. And it should be a high-value reward treat, something that they really enjoy. Tasty training treats, little pieces of hot dog, little pieces of string cheese, something that really motivates them. And just reinforce. A lot of positive reinforcement. They are going to have accidents. There's no negative reinforcers for that. We just accept it, we clean it up, but we also take mental note. Gosh, he had an accident. Maybe I'll set the alarm 10 minutes sooner next time and try and catch it earlier so that we don't have an accident next time. So work with your puppy.
Wow, that is such great advice. Can you also talk to me about the importance of crate training? I think it's really important, but I know people have sort of differing opinions on it. And, you know, I think it's just important that we maintain that level. Some people really want their dogs cuddling in bed with them. And I don't know anybody in my family who has a smaller dog, especially, who doesn't have them in the bed. I just think, why allow for that behavior to really disrupt your own sleep any further? I don't know if there's any data that says that one really is superior to the other. To me, it makes sense that the crate seems to really be a great way to be protective of my sleep, especially now that the dog is able to sleep through the night. So everything you've said, by the way, like, you know, she just ruff, ruff, ruff. We kind of know, we wake up. It's almost like we were light sleeping, anticipating that she was going to get up. And yeah, it was twice a night, but
Yep.
No accidents, and she's a happy puppy. So
That's great. That's wonderful. You're catching it early. You're being proactive, and you're giving her a chance to be a good dog, and that's what they really want. I think that crate training really has a big place in the life of a dog. It's very dependent on your lifestyle, your home. I think it can be a place of safety. I think it can be a place of rest. It can be a place where they go to kind of take their own time out. It can be a really positive thing. It can help you protect your sleep. It can help your dog stay safe when you're not home. I can't tell you how many surgeries I have done on puppies who have eaten socks, or name anything, literally anything. They will eat anything. So, it keeps them away from those tempting items that may be lying around the house, especially if you have small children. And if you have kids, you know what I'm talking about.
Legos, people,
Oh my
small
gosh.
figurines.
Sometimes they will pass. I have seen a rubber duck inside of a dog. I've seen a Barbie. I could go on. But anyway. So, crates can have a really big role, but it's not that simple. We need, again, to kind of build them up to having it be a safe space. It is a labor of love. We want to work up to positive exposures within the crate. Good things happen in the crate. Again, those really high quality positive reinforcers. Maybe they get a meal in the crate. Maybe they get a stuffed Kong toy. There are these plastic Kong toys, chew toys, that you can stuff with literally anything you can think of. Rice, pumpkin, bananas, peanut butter. You can make frozen recipes. There's recipes online. Those can be a really good way to keep a dog chewing and busy, and maybe that's something that they get in the crate. So then they make positive associations. The crate is a good thing. Then you might slowly work up to touching the crate door and just kind of touching, swinging it gently, positive reinforcement for calm behavior. And, it can be a wonderful way to have them sleep well and sleep peacefully. We want to make it a good place. We want to think about the individual dogs. Some dogs are very fluffy, and so they might run warm. So maybe they want less blankets. Maybe they want less padding because they get too hot. If you have a short-haired dog or a naked dog, such as a Chinese crested, maybe they want some blankets. Maybe they like to snuggle. So think about things like that. Especially with puppies, it can be helpful to have a toy that has a heartbeat. Something that might resemble, snuggling up with their mama. So something like that can be reinforcing for them. Also, pheromone sprays. Pheromones are scent hormones. And people are pretty dumb when it comes to smells. The best equivalent that I can make is when you smell a perfume and you think, oh my gosh, that smells delicious. Well, that's pheromones. Or sometimes you meet someone and you just really don't like them, and you don't know why. I think sometimes that's pheromones. So there are man-made pheromones, or, dog-made, I guess. And they're basically calming hormones. They kind of simulate the calming smells that a mama dog would make to calm her pups. And these can come in sprays. You can spray these in crates. You can use these for travel. Airline crate. You can use these in your car if your dog is nervous about car travel. They come in diffusers. They come in collars, calming collars. I actually have one on my psychotic dog right now because we traveled recently and she went to stay with some friends, and she did remarkably well. And so I do really think that there's something to be said for pheromones, and that is something that we use in the clinic as well, because if you think about it, we see several patients, and you can have a stressed out, anxious dog, and then sometimes the dog who comes in right after that can start out friendly and then become stressed. And I think that those pheromones stick around. So we use pheromone sprays and diffusers to help neutralize those stress hormones. All of this to say that a crate is a really good way to give them a safe space where they can find their own place to take a time out, to rest peacefully. One other thing that I will say is think about location. Some people might choose to have the crate in their room, not 2 rooms away. It depends on your relationship with your dog, your intention with your dog. If you have more of a working dog, or more of a dog who is less of a companion and more of a agility dog or something like that, then maybe they do need their own space. I actually work with a lot of police dogs, and so they can really benefit from learning to adapt to a crate because they need to stay safe. And sometimes their instincts kick in, and if you have friends over, a police dog might not be as welcoming as, for example, your puppy.
And now, a quick break. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Struggling with sleep? Dr. Cole is here to help. Whether you need a comprehensive sleeping coach program, suspect you have sleep apnea, or simply seek a second opinion, she's available for consultations in New Jersey, New York, California, and Georgia, with more states coming soon. Schedule your free 15-minute consultation today to find out which visit is right for you at AskTheSleepMD.com and start your journey to better sleep with a trusted physician.
If you are liking this podcast, if you're finding it educational, if you are feeling more empowered to go to your doctor with any sleep issues that you might be having to address them, please, please, please lend your support. Make sure that you are liking, following, subscribing. I am available on YouTube. I'm also on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. The website has launched. So we have AskTheSleepMD.com to be your free educational resource. We've added many new blog posts filled with juicy information. If you would like to support the podcast, we now have a way for you to donate. This is a labor of love. I truly enjoy what I am doing. It would be inspiring and truly helpful if you wouldn't mind even so much as donating $1 to keep this podcast going, particularly if you really find this free education a good platform for you and a good resource for you. I also have affiliate links for products that I'm a proponent of, such as Quiet Mind. So please check out the website, sign up, and you will get the latest news, the latest blogs, some sleep tips, and just have a great day and keep listening. Okay, guys, sleep well. I have a question for you in terms of when puppies behave badly. A little off the topic, but I'm curious because there are going to be people, and I would say even in my home, because I live in a freestanding home, people may have a smaller apartment. It may just be kind of hard to figure out a place where they can take a timeout. And I wouldn't want, especially if the puppy's just deciding not to want to participate in timeout, like they know they're being bad and you're like, I need a timeout from, like, you need to calm down. We've been just putting her kind of close to the house, but on a leash outside so we can kind of see her. But I'm like, you need to calm down because you're going to be tearing up my house and you're biting the kids and all of that. For the most part, she's pretty calm if we get her enough exercise. But is the timeout that you talk about in a crate, is that something that sort of the dog chooses to like just have some alone time by themselves? Or is that something that you can kind of use the crate for multiple purposes? Or do you kind of take a timeout when they're being naughty and just need to calm down from whatever zoomies they have? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So I would say you made a really good point that tiring them out is really beneficial. It gives them an outlet. It gives them a place to put their anxiety. A tired dog tends to be better behaved. They're more able to focus. They're more able to listen. So if you're going to work on a training session, have them be a little bit tired. Now, we do also have to be respectful of the fact that puppies are growing. We're not going to do any sustained exercise. We're not going to go jogging with them or rollerblading with them because their joints have not fused yet until they're about a year. So we're going to be careful about that, but throwing a ball, getting them tuckered out, running up and down the hallway is perfect. Timeouts are necessary for your sanity. I would caution people about using the crate for a timeout if they're feeling frustrated. We do not want the crate to have negative associations. So we might do exactly what you said, which is put them outside on a leash. I can think of some dogs who might chew through the leash, so be careful with that. A playpen might be an option. A laundry room might be another option. But be mindful that we are not going to remove our attention as a punishment. We might give them something else to do. An enrichment toy, a rope toy to chew on, a stuffed Kong toy, something to keep their mind busy. Because they need an outlet, just like we do. Other things that you can do, especially for unwanted behavior such as nipping, which is fairly normal with puppies, They're similar to toddlers. They put everything in their mouth. They just need to taste it. Now, if they're chewing on something inappropriate, you might make an exchange. You might say, well, you can't chew on my fingers, but you can chew on this toy. And you might redirect their attention and give them something appropriate to chew on. If they are chewing on you excessively, my recommendations for training are one of two things. You can make a noise such as ow, which is fairly natural because it hurts. These tiny little dagger teeth, they hurt. Those are fairly natural instinct. And, if you say something like that, you'll catch their attention and they'll kind of understand because they feel pain as well. Another thing that you can do is change the tone of your voice and keep it simple. Fluffy, no. Keep it simple. Because I don't know if you've seen that Gary Lawson cartoon, which I love. It's this guy talking to his dog, and he's like, Fluffy, I don't like it when you do this because then it makes me hurt, and I don't really appreciate, and it's just blah, blah, blah. That's all they hear. So just keep it simple. Fluffy, no. And they will understand the change in the tone of your voice, and they'll be more prone to listening. But if they haven't had a chance to get their wiggles out, they're not going to listen to a damn thing. So, get the wiggles out.
And that, I'm guessing, is a ton of just keeping them very active. Now, I say a ton, but I'm a little biased because mine is half Australian Shepherd, half Bernedoodle. So I just feel like, I was like, oh, I really have never owned a dog before. Let me get this dog that's going to be big and psychotically full of energy because I am a genius. So I think it might vary from puppy, breed to puppy breed, but it sounds
Very much so.
Like it's really important for us to keep in mind that certain breeds are really going to need maybe some more activity than others, but activity is really important, just like we need or our kids need, right?
Exactly. Now, there are certain breeds that are very active, and especially, I think, to a degree, we've lost sight of different breeds and their quote-unquote functions. You have to think about some dogs need a job. They need a job to do. They want to perform. Agility can be a great thing to do. You can do like a sniffari. Lay out different things, scents for them to smell around the yard. Something to keep them mentally stimulated, but not necessarily having to race them around the park. You also want to be mindful if you have a rescue. A park might not be the best place to go. My dog does not play well with others. I think she just never really learned how to dog. And so we've been using something called sniff spots, which basically rent someone's backyard. And it's fenced in, and you can take them to this backyard and they can just run free. And you're the only person there for 2 hours, and they get their wiggles out, and it's amazing. There's always options. One other thing that you can do, especially if your dog is not fully vaccinated yet, and I'm specifically talking about distemper with parvovirus vaccine, they need to have at least 2 doses of that vaccine 3 to 4 weeks apart by the time they are 16 weeks old. If they develop parvovirus, it is an extremely severe gastrointestinal virus that can be fatal. So that is important. If they haven't had that vaccine, you want to be careful about exposing them to dogs that you don't know. Now, a known friend's dog that's up to date, that's totally fine. But a tennis court might be your friend. A tennis court is enclosed, but it's still a place for a dog to run around and get their wiggles out, but not necessarily be exposed to other dogs. So, that's my little sneaky tip.
I love that. That's such a great suggestion. Can you talk, in addition to enough exercise, so what about things like when they're eating, when they're drinking, and when you might cut that off to kind of minimize
bathroom breaks. Our trainer had suggested, hey, no liquids after 7 p.m. To be honest with you, one night we tried that, and the puppy literally woke up and was like, I hate you, ruff, ruff, ruff. Let me out. And we ended up taking an extra break. Honestly, she didn't want to go out. She just wanted water. So I kind of think maybe restricting might not be the best thing. What would be sort of reasonable? Because I thought maybe 7 p.m. is like something you'd tell an adult human so that they don't have to get up and use the restroom. But it seemed kind of a little bit extreme for her. This was, she had to be like 12 weeks, I think.
I consider water to be a primary resource. All dogs should have free access to water, without question. Now, we all know that with puppies, they drink, and what goes in must come out. You can expect, with a teeny tiny body and a teeny tiny bladder, that they usually have to go pee about 10 to 15 minutes after drinking water. It's kind of like clockwork, so anticipate that. Similarly, if they eat a meal, there's something called the gastrocolic reflex where they have to poop, usually within about 30 minutes, so set a timer. You can expect what goes in must come out. So my suggestion is try to have the evening meal about 4 hours before bedtime. Now, you can give them a little snack. You can continue to give them training treats, but you don't want to overdo it and feed them too much before bedtime. With water, I personally think that they should always have it available, but if it's becoming problematic and you're struggling with potty training, my suggestion is pull it for 4, maybe 5 hours, so that you can get that 5-hour sleep and establish the potty training, and then you can slowly adjust from there. But personally, I think withholding water is not appropriate.
Okay, that's helpful. And I guess one of my final questions as we wrap up, actually 2 questions. So when you mentioned circadian rhythm, and my impression is that dogs sort of have a very similar circadian rhythm. Maybe they wake up a little bit earlier, which is what I've seen with my dog. But in general, they're sort of sleeping when we're sleeping, which is nice. But they also need a lot of napping and during the day as well, at least as puppies. When does that switch at all? Kind of like adults have less naps during the day? Is it similar to like babies that kind of nap a lot, sleep a lot, and then gradually that decreases?
Absolutely. So in general, once they're about 8 months of age, you can start to see that circadian rhythm be a lot more set. You can expect to see a lot more alert time during the day and a lot less deep naps. Especially with puppies, they are learning, they are growing so quickly. They basically just conk out. One of my most favorite things is when I have a puppy appointment and they are so tuckered out that they just pass out on the exam table. It is the best.
That's going to be an easy exam. Isn't that the case?
It really, really is.
Okay.
It's pretty hysterical. But yeah, usually around 7 to 8 months, they'll really start to be more alert, less deep sleep during the day. They still do need rest and naps, but that's about when that switch takes place.
Do you think they're going to need a little bit more activity or stimulation as they're more awake? Because I would imagine they might get bored.
For sure. Yeah. And if you don't give them the stimulation and the activity that they need, they will get into trouble. One other suggestion I want to say is rotating toys can be really helpful. You can split your toys in half or even in thirds and rotate them once a week. And do this with your kids too. They haven't seen it for a week. It's new, it's exciting. You don't have to buy new toys all the time. Keep it interesting. If they see the same stuff all the time, they might not be as engaged to play with it.
It's amazing how many parallels there are between puppies and humans. It really is astonishing.
It really is. Although generally, strangers don't come up and try to French kiss you. Whereas with puppies, that happens to me on a regular basis. Which is why I still wear a mask at work, because I know where that tongue has been.
So gross. I know.
It is.
So my final question I would ask you is, you had alluded to it, and I just want to go back to it for a moment, which is the environment in which you live. And I wanted to get a sense of if you have any specific advice for people. Obviously, if you're living in a home and you have a backyard and all of that, it's one kind of, our house is suburban, but we have more land compared to some other people, whereas our puppy initially grew up on a farm, so they had even more land and more roaming. And then you take that extreme to like an apartment in the city. So are there some, for people who may be more city dwellers who have more limited space, what advice do you have for them?
So I definitely think that you have to adapt your approach depending on your living situation. The first thing I'm going to say is it is really helpful to consider what kind, what size, and what breed of dog you will adopt for your space. And I know that things change, but it may not be appropriate to have a high-energy dog in a small apartment. So you do have to make some mindful choices. You do have to adapt your approach, especially if you have to go up and down multiple stairs, or if you need to use an elevator, because that will impact potty training. It takes time to go up and down the stairs. It takes time to get in and out of the elevator, and there can be a lot of interactions along the way that can disrupt the potty training cycle. So one thing that you can try to do is, if you have a smaller breed dog, you can start with potty pads, and as you make the transition to bringing them outside and they have better bladder control, one of my suggestions is bring the potty pad that has been soiled outside with you. Put it down on the grass and almost give the dog the message, okay, now this is where the pee goes. And again, if they do use the appropriate area, lots of positive reinforcement. Just a happy party. Lots of excitement in your voice. Lots of positive reinforcement. If you have a deck or you have a balcony, you could get a little grass mat. They do make these, like grass in a cardboard box that you can open up, and you can almost have them use that spot. And that way they get the feel of the grass, and that way they understand, okay, this is a place where we go while you're working on the potty training and the bladder control. And then once again, you can start to transition to having them go outside. It's also okay to capture the behavior. So for example, if you are just starting to bring the dog outside and they happen to go pee on the grass, catch them being good. If they pee outside, good job, Fluffy, good potty, oh, great job. And then, those really high reward treats so that they know, holy crap, I did this thing, and then she got excited, and then I got treats. Maybe I'll try that again. So.
This has been so fun, Sarah. Thank you so much. I really resonate with a lot of what you're saying from my journey. I will say that this dog has now officially become part of the family, and she may have her own little quirks, neuroses, be a little too smart for us dum-dums and figure stuff out, so I have to constantly change it up. But I wouldn't change it for a world.
Don't put yourself down. You're smart too. You're a
so
good
cute.
Girl.
Aw. Where's my special treat? Oh my goodness. Maybe a glass of wine.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for spending your evening with me.
Disclaimer. The statements made on this podcast have not been evaluated by the U.S. Food or Drug Administration. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. The information provided by this podcast should not be used as individual medical advice. While I am a practicing sleep provider, I am not your sleep provider. You should always consult with your personal healthcare provider for individual recommendations and treatment.